About 2 days ago, I was walking up the steps of the Capitol.
She was coming up the stairs, and I asked her, I says, hey, do you have a minute? She goes, yes. And we've never had a conversation before.
When Representative Yoho suddenly turned a corner, and he was accompanied by Representative Roger Williams.
I asked her if we could have a minute of her time and ask her a question.
And accosted me on the steps right here in front of our nation's Capitol.
And I wanted to ask her about this policy that she was telling people it was okay to shoplift if you were hungry.
And Representative Yoho put his finger in my face. He called me disgusting.
He says, your policy ideas are disgusting.
He called me crazy.
I said, those are just absolutely the most frickin' crazy policy ideas I've ever had.
He called me out of my mind.
The best that you can do is to offer people in your district to go ahead and shoplift.
And he called me dangerous.
It's okay to shoplift. Well, I don't believe it's okay for the shop owner who owns that store, who's trying to make a living for his family, to have somebody come and say, well, Ms. Ocasio-Cortez says it's okay.
And there were reporters in the front of the Capitol. And in front of reporters, Representative Yoho called me, and I quote, a fucking bitch.
So I said, this is just such frickin' BS. And that's all I said. And then a reporter came up to me and said, what was that about? I said, no comment.
Because all of us have had to deal with this in some form, some way, some shape, at some point in our lives.
And then she spun this into saying that I'm attacking all women, and then it was women of color.
And that's when we start to see that this issue is not about one incident. It is cultural.
I was walking back to my office, and all of a sudden I hear somebody go, Ted Yoho. She yells it out. I turn around, and she's pointing her finger at me. She goes, Ted Yoho, I am not done with you.
I do not need Representative Yoho to apologize to me.
I had conversations with Ro Khanna, Terry Sewell, Luis Gutierrez on several things. And we don't always walk away agreeing, but we always wind up, it seems like afterwards, laughing about things. And, you know, we're going to disagree on that, but we're always amicable.
It does not matter how much I disagree or how much it incenses me or how much I feel that people are dehumanizing others. I will not do that myself.
I'm not asking anybody to defend me. I'm not going on YouTube. I'm not out in front of the Capitol playing whatever that boss something. I don't listen to that music.
I am 2 years younger than Mr. Yoho's youngest daughter.
I went to the southwest border the week after she left. I went into the same cell she was in where she said children were being snatched away from their parents and the detainees were made to drink out of the toilet, and she was cussing in front of the workers there. And when I found out, they said, this is the drinking fountain, this is this. You know,
there is no reason for this. And we are complicit. These are human rights abuses. These are human rights abuses. I cannot sleep at night knowing these children are here.
Free the children! 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 Free the children!
You know, and so this has been a history of what she's doing.
This is a pattern. This is a pattern.
They'll capitalize on stuff like this and have identity politics, and it's not moving this nation forward, and it needs to stop.
My mother got to see Mr. Yoho's disrespect on the floor of this house towards me on television.
I rise to apologize for the abrupt manner of the conversation I had with my colleague from New York.
Having a daughter does not make a man decent. Having a wife does not make a decent man.
Having been married for 45 years with 2 daughters, I'm very cognizant of my language.
You can have daughters and accost women without remorse. You can be married and accost women. You can take photos and project an image to the world of being a family man and accost women without remorse and with a sense of impunity.
I'm passionate about those affected by poverty. My wife, Carolyn, and I started out together at the age of 19 with nothing.
I have worked a working class job.
We did odd jobs.
I have waited tables in restaurants.
And we were on food stamps.
I have ridden the subway.
I know the face of poverty. and for a time it was mine.
I have walked the streets in New York City.
That is why I know people in this country can still, with all its faults, rise up and succeed and not be encouraged to break the law.
While I was being harassed in restaurants, I have tossed men out of bars.
The offensive name-calling words attributed to me by the press were never spoken to my colleagues, and if they were construed that way, I apologize for their misunderstanding.
I will not allow people to change and create hatred in our hearts.
It's funny how the definition of a democracy is mob rule, and you're hanging somebody before you even talk to them.
This is a pattern